your boy Ancient Albatross here again with the Cipher Unlimited crew. We have our usual suspects of AD or Alpha Dean. We have Spigs18 or Anthony. And just as a quick reminder, if you haven't already, be sure to follow us here on Twitch and subscribe to us over on YouTube. It is a great help to our channel, and we really appreciate all the support. It's been a wild time these past few days seeing all the support. And yeah, it's very, very humbling. So thank you, everybody. But yeah, if you haven't already, be sure to go do that. And without further ado, Dean, what are we doing here tonight?
Hey, we just had a great day with an AMA, and we're just going to, a little kickback, go over a few of the great questions. Listen, there was a lot of great questions, but can't go over them all. But we're just going to talk about a few, and just, be hyped because this Kickstarter is killing it, or should I say, this backer kit is killing it, and AMA did today, and next week we got a giveaway, so it's just an exciting time. So without further ado, I'm gonna just throw the ball over to Anthony and let him get us rolling.
Well, thank you, kind sir. Welcome back to the CU, guys. First off, before we even get started on this wonderful event we had, this AMA event, couldn't have gone better. It couldn't have gone. We had a couple of little hitches, but everything worked out for the best. First and foremost, I want to truly thank all the golden ones and mods on the Cipher Unlimited Discord server, because they were absolutely phenomenal today. And I could be difficult. So throughout the course of the week, I've been asking the dumbest questions, and they all been ready, willing, and able to help step up, not only answer my questions, but make everything, all my worries go away, immediately taking care of all my concerns. I can't say enough for all the great golden ones. They were phenomenal, right? Second, I just want to thank Monte Cook Games. Not only did Charles and Tammy, behind the scenes arranged to get all the designers to come on, I think every designer stood past the allotted hour that they promised us. Like, Bruce, Sean was damn near there for like 3 hours. I thought he stood the whole term of the, AMA. Everybody, Sean, Monte, Bruce, Shauna, Dominique, even Bear came on as a special guest, and he started answering the art design questions. And then Olivia came on and, started helping us out with, like little incidentals. Everybody from the MCG team was fantastic.
As usual.
Yeah, as usual. Hopefully we can do this event again sometime, and they're very open and receptive to it. So I think it's going to happen again, guys. Even Monte suggested that we do another AMA, but more focused towards the business side, because there was some, seesaw questions. There was some, copyright questions that he wasn't at the liberty to answer. So maybe we'll do an AMA with Charles to actually answer some of these business questions. I think that was a great idea.
Awesome.
Yeah, he did say that in a few of those questions there. I did see that response come up quite a bit, that, hey, push the CU guys to make an AMA about the business side of things. Charles and I can answer it then.
well, and that is an easy one.
Yeah.
Because, you know what? Believe it or not, I mean, as hectic as it was, as much work as it was, as tired as we are, it was actually quite fulfilling and pretty damn intense. It was awesome. So I'm pretty stoked. So guys, let's without further ado.
I just have one more thing to say. Also, I'm freaking tired. I took off from work. I was monitoring the boards, and I just want to apologize if anyone on the server that was normally we don't like quickly respond and jump at people, but just for the sake of to have the whole thing running smoothly, if I either deleted something that was posted in the wrong place, or if someone was pinged and because I was basically saying that multiple times today, I'm sorry. That was just our rules. It just ran smoother that way, and there was nothing personal, strictly modding. And so if any of our mods did the same, we apologize, but we wanted to run as smooth as possible, and we didn't want the designers to have to go through 5 or 6 channels to answer the questions. So apologies sent out. We love you guys. Hope you guys still love us. Now you can go, D.
Oh, I was just basically, I'll mirror what you said. We apologize and all that good stuff. And I was just getting ready to tell you, let's hit the first question.
All right. So what we're basically doing is we're picking up the questions that we found interesting. And if anyone in chat has a question that you want us to bring up, because like with all our discussions, this is a family discussion. We're just gonna bring up. So me, Al, and Dean were just looking at some of the AMA questions, and we just we picked out a couple that we thought were personally interesting. So Al, you want to go first?
Yeah, I was actually hoping you'd ask me if I want to go first. This wasn't planned. But yeah, let me open up the AMA so I can search for the post that I want to start with. And that one is, how are you doing today? I absolutely loved seeing this question because it had a great sub-question too. So how are you doing today? And then the sub-question. And, oh, by the way, we should always start it with, the person who posted it is someone called The Guy in the Know. Again, I don't know their name beyond that, but that is the person who posted it, The Guy in the Know. And yeah, he asked, or they ask, how are you doing today? And the bonus question is, what do you do for fun outside of tabletop gaming? So I love the double whammy here, and I'm going to break this down a little bit before we go into the answers from the crew. And I really enjoyed it because, one, it showcases how nice the community is. Like, he didn't care about having some deep important question. He's like, how are you today? Like, how are you doing? Like, that's amazing. That's so nice. And then I like it again because he did have that sub question of, what do you do for fun? He had an actual question to be answered as well on top of that. So he had a very nice way of introducing, hey, I'm going to ask you a question. I hope that's okay. And then goes into the question. And I think that was lovely. And yeah, the answers are great too.
I think that's I think that's a symptom.
Why don't you read the answers so we can discuss them?
I wanted you to, if you had wanted to interject at all before I started rambling all the answers, because I believe everybody answered this one.
Well, I was just saying, I was just saying, but that's great, Al. But that's just a symptom of the community, I would say. I think that's just another reflection of what Monte Cook brings to the table. They bring that type of thing out in people, that you're interested in how they're doing, as well as what information they can give us about the next great, piece of work they're going to do.
Exactly. But yeah, we had some great answers. So, basically it looks like people answered in the order that they arrived on the server, which is nice. But it starts with Dominique, says, I'm doing well. I'm just going to read it verbatim. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I read a lot of books, pretty much anything I can get my hands on, regardless of genre. So now we get a nice little glimpse into the inside of what they do outside of, designing and whatnot. Now we know Dominique reads a lot. That's cool. That's so cool to know these little things about people. But either way, moving on. Sean K. Reynolds says, I'm doing well. I'm doing well too. Kind of busy time right now as my fiance and I are making wedding plans and such, but it's all positive stuff. So he's planning a wedding. Amazing. And for fun, he's restoring an old car, 1968 Buick Skylark. I don't know anything about cars, so I like the name.
Him and I talked about that.
If you want to see the car, he's posting pictures on Twitter all the time. You could see the actual restoration, in a time lapse, because
yeah, we've talked about it on more than one occasion. It's a great vehicle.
On Twitter.
And continuing, I watch DIY videos on YouTube, practice my DIY skills, and I'm planning on starting a local handyman side gig because I like to work with my hands and it gets me out of the house. I also need to paint some Numenera minis and build some custom Numenera dioramas for us to use at conventions. So yeah, really nice stuff he has going on behind the scenes. I didn't know that he was like a handyman kind of vibe.
If you follow him on Twitter, he's always posting cool stuff.
Neat. And then we got Shauna Germain, who says, that's so sweet. I love that you asked. Happy to hear. I'm assuming happy to be here. Little typo. Happy to be here answering all of these great questions. Also in need of coffee, always, I guess. I have a million things going on all the time. Right now, I'm And then she bullet points. Building and furnishing a dollhouse for our Invisible Sun game. My character lives in a dollhouse in-game, and I'm creating that in the real world. That is bonkers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Also teaching myself how to paint leather. I just painted a pair of old boots, and I'm going to paint the cuffs of a leather jacket next. That's so cool. Learning all about colors and style. I'm 50 years old, figured it was time to learn how to dress myself. I love video games and often play them on the treadmill desk so that I can get some exercise in at the same time. And reading, walking, loving on the doggo, learning new things. Right now I'm learning ASL, American Sign Language. And writing fiction is a big one. I love fiction so much, that's so cool. It's amazing learning how to paint leather stuff and learning color theory at the same time. That's cool. And then we got Bruce chiming in. Sadly, started the day with an ocular migraine. Interesting story. The raver creature's look in Gods of the Fall is based directly on what I see during an episode. That is what I need to go look at Gods of the Fall. I have the book out now because I need to go look at the exact image.
The
But
Reavers,
either way,
yeah, that's awesome. Now we know where the Reavers came from.
then I spent several hours working on Rust and Redemption, figuring out shelf lives of so many things. I don't know why I read it as OH, as so many things, which again seems pertinent in a post-apocalyptic game, knowing how long things survive on a shelf. He walked the dog, did a quick VR workout, and now this. Then heading out to meet with my writers group so they can critique a new scene from a novel I'm writing. So we'll be looking forward to getting home tonight and having a glass of wine. Definitely a busy day for Bruce.
Yeah.
And then lastly, Monte chimes in. Busy. My role requires me to monitor about 10 situations at any given time, plus design stuff. Fortunately, I have a great team, and they really all sort of take care of their own stuff most of the time. Finishing off the cake for my birthday today, so that's always a plus. Ran a game last night, and that always fills my head the next day with lots of new ideas. And that's really cool too. And just as a random aside, when Monty, I believe the user was referring to this, and I believe it was L.O. Therer / James Fellows on the server who posted it, but they posted that meme of Charlie from It's Always Sunny, in front of that board. It's like, that's Monty's day every day, trying to monitor all the stuff that he has going on.
And for those that don't know, yesterday was Monty's birthday. Happy birthday again, Monty.
Not yesterday, Sunday.
Oh, Sunday.
The time is blurring this week. There's so much going on.
Track of time.
But yeah, that was everybody's answer to that question and subsequent sub-question. And yeah, these are great little insights into the lives of the MCG designers, and that's another reason I really loved this particular question. Showed the nicety of the community, along with giving us some really good glimpse at their, what they're doing in their personal time.
I had a question. My question that I thought was pretty cool was from Jelsaya, and it's, what's one key lesson about RPG design you've learned while working on or with the Cipher system?
Yeah, that's a great one.
And I think they really gave some good answers here. So I'm just going to jump right into it. But Sean wrote, Cipher System is so straightforward in how it explains things and uses a lot of natural language that it took me a while to learn much of the writing style, which I really appreciate this because it takes a lot of gamers to learn not only the Cipher verbiage, but the philosophy behind the game design. So it's refreshing to hear him say it took him a while to unlearn writing for other systems. He came from Pathfinder, the writing mechanic first over narrative first, so it just kind of makes sense for me. I had developed for Pathfinder and D&D 3E. It's quite common for Bruce and I to have two completely different approaches of how to write a new ability or cipher. We're both right because Cipher System rules allow us a lot of wiggle room in how we explain things. I don't know, that sounds like something we've heard multiple times. Monty reminds us that it's okay if a Bruce adventure reads a lot differently than a Sean adventure. because some people love the way Bruce writes, and that's the sort of thing they want to read. Also, I also wear a developer's hat. I had to retrain how I look at some aspects of development. For example, it's real easy for me to read someone else's work and think, well, that's not how I would write this, and therefore this text is wrong, and someone should fix it. But as long as the intent is clear and the ability makes sense, it doesn't matter if that's not how I would write it. It's very different then. So looking at a freelancer's writing a new spell for Pathfinder, then knowing that's not how we tell the player to make an attack roll, or that's not how we describe this kind of effect. Learning multiple game systems makes you a better designer and developer. Because Cipher System is so flexible with its wordings, it allows for many approaches to the same destination. And in most cases in CS design, instead of writing a bunch of specific explanations and exceptions for how a complicated rule interfaces with other things, it's a better solution to write about the general interaction and then remind the GM to use GM intrusions to cover your weirdness, uncover weird situations. Thank you. You know, we say this a lot on the server, and it's refreshing when because when we say it, it doesn't carry the weight as someone like Sean does. But I like to think that we say this a lot. For example, I wrote the copy power character ability for Claim the Sky, and it's a weird ability because it lets you copy someone else's power. And instead of giving a bunch of specific exceptions about what the power can and can't do, like can't copy something with a permanent cost, or can't copy an always-on ability, or can't copy something that builds upon a weaker power, it clicked. I don't need to list out all those exceptions. It wasn't enough to have a call out reminding the GM that if something weird comes up with copy power, do a GM intrusion about it. Maybe there's a mashup and your control of it is erratic, or you got a weird side effect while copying that power, etc., etc. Learning to embrace the rule mechanics of GM intrusions can be very freeing. That was awesome.
Yeah, that just it was so nice again, like you said, to see it written down when we talk about basically the same thing all the time, coming from a more I don't know, I want to. The first term that comes to mind is higher power, but it seems like such a funny way to say it. Yeah, it's just it's an awesome to see that perspective in text form, so so people can really grasp that concept. Because it's one thing to talk about it. Some other people or some Sean just chimed in. This person sounds like a brilliant game designer in the chat. That's hilarious.
That's Sean's doppelganger.
But yeah, no, I lost my train of thought because that was hilarious. But yes, written down versus spoken in a video has a sort of credence or whatever have you to some people's like way of thinking. Like it's easier to absorb seeing it actually written down because we don't write blog posts or anything. So for it to be written down in a place for people to read about is very nice.
Shauna wrote, how to create a scaffold for the GM that makes them feel very secure in what they need to do and know. But that doesn't close any doors. In fact, encourages them to get weird and creative. It's a very fine balance, especially because everyone needs are different. So I ask myself all the time, what does a GM need to know? How can I show them some of the possibilities without making them feel overwhelmed, like they have to pick one of them? I think that one of the hidden goals of the Cipher system is teaching GMs to trust in themselves and their stories by giving them the tools they need and then letting them go. That's actually beautifully worded. It's kind of like teaching someone to ride a bike, I think. They need a bike and a surface to ride on and a helmet and some kind of support to get started. But then where they go after is all up to them. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And that's pretty straightforward. It's the mindset of moving away from having every mechanic spelled out for you into being empowered to make decisions and to be creative in your decisions.
Yeah, and that's like the backbone of like that cipher mentality is like um is to again have the tools you need necessary, nothing to overwhelm you. This is like kind of how I like pitch the game to new people too. Is like you're gonna be presented with some rules. It's not gonna be overwhelming, and then we're just gonna have fun with it. We're gonna see where our bike takes us, like Shauna so elegantly put.
It's what we say all the time. I mean, it's like every time, we get on the server and people start asking those questions. Well, how would you do this? Or how would you do that?
Or it's not even how would you, is where's the rule for this?
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Or how do you? Yeah, exactly. Where's the rule at? And by, Sean saying that and, everybody saying what they're saying about embracing the flexibility, it's just brilliant. It's great.
Bruce wrote, the one key lesson I learned isn't so much about working on the Cipher system as it is about working at MCG. And that lesson is try my best to embrace feedback I receive from a developer, creative director, and editor. At previous places of employment, development was someone else taking your text and running with it with no feedback, no chance to improve things or decide not to do it the way the developer wanted. Here, I appreciate the feedback learning loop. That I always got the vibe from this, the few times that I got to actually hang out with the MCG crew, I always got the vibe that not only are they company mates, they work together, I got the vibe that they're friends. And when you have that atmosphere, like you work around people that you generally like and are pleasant to be around, I think it's a lot easier to coexist in the workspace. And I always I don't know if they hate each other behind the scenes, but when I'm around, they just seem like a great group of friends,
Exactly.
It's definitely the vibe I've gotten as well. I'm sure everyone else gets that vibe. They're always so happy when talking about one another or to each other. Like you can see it in cons, especially. Like they're always, having some kind of pleasant conversation or whatever have you, having a good time. And yeah, it's awesome. What he mentioned also that there's that feedback learning loop of like, hey, I actually can go back and fix something. It's not just taken out of my hands and that's that. It's an awesome show of that collaborative effort that we kind of see as the spirit and soul of Cipher System. Like, hey, we're gonna work on this together. It's not just me and it's I passed the buck and that's that. I don't have any more to say. Like, it's
I'll never see it again until it comes out.
Exactly. Like they have that. We're gonna work together on this, and yeah, it's fantastic.
That makes it work out.
Monty Cook wrote, one of many would be to trust the GM. Another might be to talk about the rules like they would be talked about at the table. If you're interested in lessons I've learned about RPG design, he puts a Substack, which is, if you're not reading that and you're an MCG fan, then I'm gonna take your MCG card away because his Substack, his GM advice is phenomenal. And Monty just drops jewels. I don't know what else to say. The illest pen game of the RPG industry.
There you go.
And the trusting your GM is very important. I think a lot of people go into the table wanting to I wouldn't say control a game, but wanting to make sure that it's ruled correctly, when that shouldn't be your mindset as a player. Your mindset as a player is wanting to tell a fun story as a collective. Like the actual arbitration of the rules is the GM's job. If they get them wrong, who cares? Let them learn through that process. It's not your job to interfere in a GM's learning process, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
I think it also harkens to trust the GM, because he's talking about specifically with RPG design, right? And trust the GM means like, hey, we know that the Cipher system, doesn't have specific rules for every single instance, right? Like we hear a lot, like, what's the rule for this? What's the rule for that? And Sean mentions, using GM intrusion to kind of like push that side of things. Like if you don't have a rule for something, boom, just GM intrusion. That trust in the GM is kind of like the key. I know I keep saying this term, like key backbone, or like the key spirit, the essence of Cipher System is you have to trust that the GM is using the proper tools from the Cipher System to do what you guys want to do as a whole. And yeah, just trust your GM. They got the tools right there. I know there's a lot of stuff in Cipher System, but it is, the GM will learn. Like Anthony said, if they don't know exactly what they're doing, they'll learn. They'll learn as they go.
Oh, Dean, before you ask your question or start talking about your question, you just mentioned something. What I think a lot of the confusion is, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but a lot of the confusion is when they say there isn't a rule. There is a rule. It's not a specific rule, because GM intrusion technically is a rule that encompasses a lot of what would be specific rules to scenes and scenarios. It's an all-purpose rule. Cipher System they have rules and mechanics that govern the entire game, but they just broader than they are in other systems.
Just look at it through, if you look at it through one final thing on it before I go into the next question, just kind of look at it through a different lens. It's what I always say, is that paradigm shift. You as the player and as the GM have to realize that Cipher System isn't about mechanics or mechanical interpretations or simulationist ideas. It's about the story. It's the cinematic experience. This is the moment that we get to be, Captain America. This is the moment you get to be Captain America picking up Mjolnir, or the moment you get to be, the Black Panther, stepping out the porter, ooh, boom, bat. Those are those moments, and that's what it's all about. If you embrace the ideas of what Cipher is trying to bring to the table. So that's my.
Do you have a question, Dean?
Yeah, my question was, it was from our good friend Kid Up, and it was a great question. It was, what tips can you give a creator for their first large-scale project? And there was a lot, he went into some specifics, but I'm just going to read the answers because the guys actually just flesh everything out. So Sean K. Reynolds stated, big projects can be really intimidating. It's one thing to write a 4-page article full of magic items or 32-page adventure, and a very different thing to write a 224-page book with a particular topic, say Stay Alive, which is my biggest solo project. Break it into pieces, set goals and deadlines for those pieces. Leave time to go back and update finished pieces based on other sections you write. It's also okay if you shrink the scale a bit. Maybe it's not a full source book or a world. It's a 32-page gazetteer with some character options, creatures, and magic. Once you have that done, you have the option of expanding any section into its own thing or filling in more gaps. More cultural information, more creature ecologies, more history, more understanding of the role of magic in that world, etc. In the age of the video game, DLC, and episodic TV streaming, people are used to getting things in chunks. And if designing in chunks helps you make progress and complete things, then do it that way. I think that's gold, especially, being a creator myself. That's some of the best advice you could ever get.
Solid.
You guys want to say anything about that answer?
No, I mean, I think it's pretty much nailed it.
Yeah, it's super good.
So Shauna came back with, and she put Scrivener, period. And then she said, okay, that sounds like a joke, but I honestly would never have been able to write a big project without Scrivener. I don't get any money from them, although I should as often as I recommend them. Scrivener is a writing program that lets you organize a big project into little sections, which is how my brain works. You can see them all on the side, the binder, and click back and forth, or even see 2 at a time. My brain can't hold big projects, and I find word processing programs overwhelming when I'm trying to scroll through and find something. I was going to post a screenshot of my Scrivener for Old Gods of Appalachia, but I don't see an image option. But if you like to see it, let me know.
Which she did share it later on the server. She figured out a way.
Yeah, even if it's not Scrivener, there's a lot of apps that do that same thing. Like I was using OpenNote, which did this very similar thing where you had all the notes listed on the side there. You could break things down into pieces, and that is so much better for organizing a very big project than just like Kedap is saying in chat, just using Google Docs, because then like Shauna was saying in her response, you have to scroll through this massive thing or control F or whatever convoluted way to get back to the section you were working on or want to look at. Wherein with a program like Scrivener or whatever other application, you'll see all your stuff broken down into parts or chapters or whatever have you on the left or right, whatever, however it's set up. And yeah, that's A plus advice for working on big projects.
And Bruce came right back with some more gold. He said, spend a couple of days outlining, look at similar projects, see where there might be similarities and where there might be differences. Explore those differences in the outline. Then have a brainstorming session or two with other designers and see what great ideas they have that you can throw into the mix. And lastly, Monte says, plan it out as much as you can ahead of time and then dive into the most interesting part. By starting with what interests you most, you'll set a tone for the whole project and you'll likely end up making additions and changes that will affect the other parts. And for me, these things as a designer, they're just massively helpful in all aspects. So, and I don't know anybody, I do know people out there who are other designers, Kedap himself, and so on and so forth. So, take these jewels, guys, and hold them precious.
Even if you aren't a designer, if you're thinking about getting into being in any creative project, all this is a solid advice.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I will echo what Kedap is saying. You see, I did the opposite of what Monty suggested. I did the boring parts first, and it's been a slog. Now I know I did it backwards, and I kind of when I was working on, or I guess I'm still, it's in basically hiatus, but the little Stardew Valley thing I'm working on, I was in the same mind. I was working on the things that's like, I don't really care too much about this, but it kind of needs to be in it to kind of flesh out what I'm doing. So let me try to knock that out first. And eventually I was like, I'm not doing any progress. Let me just work on the shit that I really like and I'm really interested in. And then yeah, it started to flow much better. Like it just started to click after that. So yeah, it's A plus advice.
Yeah. Back on you.
Yeah, I already know which one I'm pulling up next one because it's a nice simple one. So one of my favorites, or my next favorite one, was a question about the black cube. And very simple question, very simple answer. And it's are there any secrets left untold in the black cube, or any or the other books for that matter? Just new to ISN, I love the aspect. The author of this comment is Auburn Amaranth. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. And yeah, they go on. So just to know if there's something still worth investigating, or maybe where to start looking. And Monty Cook is the only person who replied, and he replied a simple yes, period. That's it. No
I've never
clue.
seen a one-word answer cause so much commotion on the server in my life.
Like, there's still there's still secrets within the black. That's bananas. If you were on the server when Invisible Sun first came out, or if you're new to the server, I highly recommend going into the Invisible Sun channels, especially the secrets channel, and just going back to the beginning of it. Like, just go back to the first post and read all the stuff people were doing to try to find secrets within the black cube. I'm talking like there's secrets within the box of the black cube. Like, you have to break it open to find something within the cube. Like, sorry if that's spoilers. It's been years now. It's been talked about. Like, that's beyond bonkers. And to think there's more secrets in there, like, bruh, that is ridiculous.
I just thought it was hilarious when, as soon as he posted that, you saw people in the chat going, Monty said there's more secrets in the black cube. I just pictured all these people like running out of their houses. I'm trying to get back to work.
Yeah, our mod Eileen even said like, oh, I guess I gotta take my black cube to get X-rayed or something. I forget what she said, but like
TSA.
Oh man, It's wild. It's just insane to think that there's more secrets about the black cube, or
Yeah, that was
invisible
funny.
sun in general. It's wild. It's insane. Yeah. That was a simple one. So
Yeah,
Anthony,
that was actually a great one.
yeah, it's super good. Like I had to bring it up. I had to.
Yeah. The one I picked was from our golden one, Eileen. Favorite work time ritual.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
I thought this was a good one because you get to see gives you a little explanation of everyone. Sean wrote, "What is the focus that you speak of? My writing is." Yeah, let me see if this is my writing is in creative bursts in between checking our work, Slack, popping in on Twitter, watching a DIY video on YouTube, and making snacks. As a designer developer, I often have to stop what I'm doing to switch gears and address a different project, like pausing writing on the weird so I could develop a just finished chapter of Old Gods of Appalachia. It really helps that we all work from home. Yes, home can be distracting, like how my fiance's son is practicing drumming for the show he's doing this Saturday. But it also means I could take a nap in the middle of the day. Oh, that sounds so great. I want to take a nap in the middle of the day. Or go for a walk and fiddle with this old call, whatever, any time of the day. And because my fiance is an elementary school teacher, I'm up at 6 a.m. when she gets up. And then I have a nap, do my coffee and crows walk, and so on. Late in the evening, I have quiet time to myself and work while everyone else is asleep. It took me a while to learn to manage my time this way, though. I had some problems hitting deadlines when I switched from being MCG's community person to being a designer developer. Managing time on longer projects was a challenge, but that hasn't been an issue for me for about 2 years. Which is funny because Sean is gonna hop in to talk about Sean's answer. But I'm just gonna say this about Sean. Looks like he's living a life. I was sold on taking naps in the middle of the day. You're living a life, man. You're living a dream.
And again, like I said earlier with these questions, we get to learn some new, like personal details or aspects of them that we didn't know about before. I didn't know Sean was the marketing person before he became the designer for MC. Yep. I had no idea. I didn't know that.
Sean was the first person I met. And he recognized me when I went to Gen Con that year. It was really cool because he was like, "Hey, Monte, this is the guy I was telling you about that had made the Cipher System video," because I had made a video advertisement for the store. It was really cool.
You know who Sean is? Sean is freaking MacGyver. There's like nothing that Sean can't do. Like,
more like
Sean,
nothing.
If Monte's the illest pen game, Sean is the MacGyver of RPGs.
Yeah, he does it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, we learned something new, which is nice.
Shauna wrote, "I'm cracking up at Sean's answer, not just because it's true for him, but because I feel like he's describing how so many creators work. My best ritual is the one that I did just before starting the AMA. Put in some earbud." Could you read this for a second? Because my wife is buzzing, ringing the bell.
All right, I'll continue reading this one so Anthony can deal with that and not get in any trouble. Heat with the missus, because that's definitely key, vital to avoid. Happy, healthy wife is a happy, healthy life. But either way, I'll continue. Shauna writes, "My best ritual is the one I did just before I started this AMA. Put in my earbuds. Crank up some music. Right now, it's a playlist on Spotify called Villain Mode. I'm on Cross My Heart and Hope You Die if you want to listen along." She gave a link, and I'm actually going to copy and share that literally right now so everybody can take a look at that Spotify playlist. There we go. And next point was start my Be Focused Pro timer on my phone. It's set for 45 minutes. When that goes off, I know I can get up and do whatever the hell I want. So that helps me stay focused on my tasks. And since Anthony's back, I'll let him jump right back in. Or do you want me to continue?
Yeah,
he's muted. I'll continue. Also, I don't have any apps on my phone or main writing computer that are distracting. No Facebook, Instagram, etc., etc. It mostly keeps me from cheating. But less you think I've got this focus thing nailed, the other answer is I procrastinate by doing everything else until there is nothing left to do but sit my ass down and write. When I'm on deadline, I have probably done laundry, cleaned the fridge, made that phone call I've been dreading, trimmed the dog's nails, changed the light bulb that's been out for months, decided to learn how to bake a complicated cake, and made a doctor's appointment. Which, again, I feel that on a spiritual level. I will do everything else there is to do under the sun before I have to tackle what's at hand. The guys here will tell you that I do not start working on our stream stuff until like 20 minutes or 10 minutes before we're actually going to go live. I do not believe in doing things beforehand. I love to procrastinate. And yeah, but you know, it kind of shows that I kind of got a routine now because of it. I can get my ass in gear when need be. It is definitely a wonderful skill set to have.
I'm the exact opposite. I want everything done 2 days prior. But that's all right.
Yes.
Work well together.
Exactly. That's the key. But I'll let you continue with the next.
I fall right in the middle of these two, and it's hilarious because
Fall right in the middle. What are you kidding me?
Anthony is like always cracking the whip, and Al's like, yeah, I'll do it.
Al, you heard that? He said he falls out right in the middle.
I definitely don't agree with that statement. Yeah, I'm not going to speculate on which side of the spectrum he's on, but I will say he's not in the middle.
Okay.
So Dean's just like, okay. But Anthony, you can continue before we get further.
Yo, clip that, Al. Al, you got to clip that.
All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, man. All right, you stopped that. I'm at Bruce, right?
Yes. The
I
next
make
one.
an
Wait.
Americano for me and a latte for Batgirl when I get up in the morning. Grab some yogurt. Grab some yoga. Grab some yogurt, go to my desk, and before eating and drinking, do 2 minutes of squats to get my heart going a little. Then I sit down and begin the day. Bruce has always been into healthy living and working out and stuff. I wouldn't mind an Americano.
I mean,
go right now.
a running theme seems to be coffee.
Yeah. And Monte goes in, I need to be isolated, preferably in my office with the door closed. But even a pair of noise-canceling headphones could do the job. Caffeine helps. Music is essential. Focus flow state is the end goal of a process. The beginning stages might not look like work at all. Reading, watching something on TV, building something with Lego, or just staring out the window helps me at the beginning of the transition so that I can then move into my workspace and start really working. I like the idea about staring out into the window to like focus. That's actually pretty cool.
And just the concept of having that activity, regardless of what it is, he described a bunch of things, to separate, hey, I'm going from my free time to my work time, which is, again, a vital mindset to have when you're working from home a lot, which most writers, designers usually do, which is why that trope of the coffee shop writer or whatever is such a thing, because you're leaving your home and you're going into your workspace where you can really focus, and being able to do that within your own home that's an amazing mindset, skill set, whatever you want to call it, to have or be able to achieve.
Yeah, I thought this was a great question because I always like to hear what people do to get comfortable before they, do creative projects.
And it's in the same vein of, like, again, maybe I might be different than other people, but that mindset of I need to prep something. How do I get in that works, like, again, for lack of a better word, but work mindset? Like, because I consider it a little bit of work to sit down and prep and whatever have you, think about these things, really put that mind power towards it. It is a different mindset than just hanging out, chilling, playing a video game, whatever. It's a good skill set to have.
It's good stuff. My next question was name a popular movie or TV show you would like to design a cipher system setting for.
Oh, this was a good one.
And that was from our friend Stormbringer. And unfortunately, I cannot seem to find this question so I can get the answers.
Oh, I got it. I can start reading it while you find it.
No, Dean, that was a good one. I was just reading that if I was gonna pick that one.
It is an excellent one. Did you want to start reading some of them, Anthony? If you were gonna pick it, or you want me to?
I'm gonna pull it up now.
All right, so I'll start us off then.
Yeah, I got it too.
But yeah, Sean K. Reynolds was the first one to chime in for this
Just
one,
put name, you'll get it.
and he wrote Dark on Netflix, a show that starts out as dealing with some missing children and then veers into generational trauma, horror, and fate. It's a masterpiece of storytelling. One of the instant inventors I wrote for Explorer's Keys, I think, has the PCs going back in time to steal items from their past selves, and it's that level of recursive weirdness that would be fun and challenging to write about as an RPG supplement. You'd basically have multiple characters acting in multiple time periods with your action affecting the present and the past. It would be really hard to do, but I think if you did it right, it would be awesome. I'm also a big fan of the sci-fi Xenogenesis books by Octavia E. Butler and the fantasy Ethshar books by Escher books by Lawrence Watt Evans, both of which would be really cool RPG settings to write about. So much detail and potential from a world building and game mechanics perspective. And I'll let you guys touch on any of this because you guys all both know I'm the least cultured when it comes to knowing things about, books or movies or shows. It does sound awesome to work with a base that has a lot of, like you said, world building and mechanic potential.
I could definitely see Dark as a setting for Cipher, the Netflix show.
Dark, Xenogenesis, everything he named actually would be great because they are rich worlds and they will fit very well into Cipher. And anybody who knows those works, just like you're saying with Dark, Anthony, if you know those works, it has a lot of potential for absolutely brilliant stories.
Mm.
So on to the next one, it was Shauna. And she said, okay, hear me out. And then she said, Severance with an exclamation point. Spoilers ahead. You get 2 character sheets, one for your innie and one for your outie. And they have some of the same things like you. You'd probably be the same type and descriptor, but your focus would be different. And you'd have to put your points and effort in different places. Your background and connections and character arc would obviously be different too. Then as you progress, you might start learning more about your other self. I think it could be a ton of fun.
Yeah, I think that sounds awesome.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
Bruce Cordell, and like this is a big stretch, right? He says The Expanse. Okay, well, I guess we sort of covered that one. I'm really loving The Last of Us. Okay, never mind. I love superheroes, and well, darn it, I actually wrote the origin superhero-ish novel with similar themes right around this time, still unpublished, but done thanks to my Patreon. How about Life Below Zero? You play a survivalist type who's got to rough it for a year in the Arctic, all by yourself with a set of numbered resources. Extra points if you can do so by ignoring the camera person the whole time.
You know what's funny about this one, Dean? When they first announced Stars of Fire, I remember this specifically because I was like, oh, Stars of Fire, I wonder what's that going to be about. And Dean was like, yo, it's like The Expanse, but it's Cipher System.
Yeah, I thought this again was a hilarious response because he basically mentioned 2 big things.
I don't know, I just thought it was funny.
It's hilarious. And then he follows it up with The Last of Us, which is Rusted Redemption. So he's writing that too. So I guess I'm kind of already converting my favorite stuff.
Yeah, that's what he said. I'm really loving it. Okay, never mind. I love it. So that's pretty cool. And then of course, Monte steps in and gives us a great answer. He said, most of my desires for this world will be based on books, but everything, everywhere, all at once would make a great Cipher System setting. And he's right.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I hear so many good things about it.
You know what's crazy? I'm not as on the hype bandwagon as everyone else for this movie. I thought it was good. I thought it was okay. But the idea of playing in that world, now that is absolutely dope.
Anybody in chat has a question you want us to bring up?
Now would be a
Post it in
good time
chat
to
if someone
mention
in chat has a question they want us to bring up.
it. But I was it me the next one? I
Yep,
believe
it's
so.
you, it's you, Al.
Yeah, so my next one, which I loved, because it gives us a glimpse into something, but let me pull it up. The question was pretty, where we go, what's in a name? And that was addressed to all the designers, but only Monte answered. But I really like this one because I never really thought about it. I never actually sat down and thought, well, hey, why is it this? But either way, question is what's in a name, and it was posted by Kinda Nice, and the further question is the dictionary definition of the word cipher doesn't seem to fit how the cipher mechanic works. Is there some association or analogy I'm missing, or is it just a cool word? Also, why did you decide to put this mechanic front and center in the title for the system? Were there other choices in the running for the title, or have you always been calling it the Cipher System? And only Monty replied to this one, and he put it excellently, he broke it down, and he wrote, Cipher started as Numenera, and in Numenera there were ciphers, one-use baubles that don't seem to be important at first. The name plays on that initial, parentheses, misconception, but also on the mystery and secret related meanings. It's front and center because the idea of having an ever-changing suite of abilities for your character as opposed to the same ability session after session is vital to the game and a big part of what sets it apart. And I loved how he broke this down here. And again, I know that ciphers were Numenera, but in my mind, I call them Numenera. So I didn't actually think about it, it came from that. They're called ciphers. That's the actual name of what they are in Numenera. But in my mind, I always call them, they're Numenera. You're using these weird devices. They're the Numenera. But it's also awesome that he describes it further, like the plays on the initial misconception of the word, of like you don't really know what a cipher is when you look at it. Like it's supposed to be like a mystery, which is what ciphers or Numenera are. That you don't really know what they do until you use them or identify them or whatever have you. And again, he explains that further with the mystery or secret related meanings, which is phenomenal. I never thought about it in that regards or respects. And yeah, and how he further explains that it's front and center, as we see as a design philosophy within Cipher System, it's very modular, it's very plug and play. So Cypher's just pushed that even further. Like, hey, not only do you have your own plug and play build how you want, every session is going to be a little bit different because you're going to be finding this suite of abilities. It's not just what you have on your character sheet. It's what you're going to be finding in your game as well, which again, it's phenomenal. I love this description, is why I picked this question, even though he's the only one who answered it. It was just, again, something I never really thought to even ask. Like, it was an awesome question.
Yeah, that is a pretty good question.
I have one that's based on Numenera lore, which Grundiller asked, which I thought was actually pretty interesting. And Grundler asked, I thoroughly enjoy the breadth and depth of imagination and creativity that goes into all your products. Looking forward to Glimmering Valley. Have you ever had any thoughts of building products for Numenera that could support a consistent lore that other fans of Numenera could relate? Every game is different and wild with unique stories. I've heard that before about Numenera, that is so far apart from each other, but it's harder to have something like, and then we encountered which others can more easily relate to. I have no problem running Cipher System fantasy genres. Great told us, by the way, in Cipher System. There is a lot of traffic in the fantasy genre right now. Any thoughts of a low-level adventure in this genre specific to help newcomers?
Yo, real quick before you go into the answers, what's the heading of the question? Because I can't find it.
Oh, Numenera lore.
Thank you. All right, got it.
And only Sean and Monty answered it. Sean answered, to answer your second question, it's my intent that the starter set will have a Cipher System newbie-friendly fantasy adventure in it. We have a retail program aka Cipher Play, that has a lot of one-shot adventures, with one season of it being a set of fantasy adventures. But making more newbie-friendly adventures is definitely something we need to have out there for people to see. As for the first question, part of the fun of Numenera is that it's all so weird that two groups exploring two different areas may have radically different experiences simply because the world itself changes so much from region to region. It's not like the olden days of D&D when everyone played the Keep on the Borderlands. Hey, I'm running Keep on the Borderlands in Cypher because it was the most common adventure in stores, and because it takes you through the typical D&D-like experience of dealing with kobolds, then goblins, then orcs, and so on. Thanks for ruining my adventure, Sean. You know, some of the guys playing in my game actually watch this stuff. Up to the rankings of dangerous humanoids. And maybe I'm not quite getting the intent of your question. And Monte wrote, what you discuss is precisely the main goal of the Glimmering Valley. It's a place that everyone can use as a starting point if they want to, and can form a common ground for all Numenera players. Beyond that, the core book adventures are certainly meant to be generally applicable and universally used, even if one group heads off to the liminal shores and the other jets off into the night.
Oh man, I was just laughing because Sean got after me. He's like,
Sean, it's 40 years old for us, but these new guys, they think I wrote it.
Oh man. But yeah, these were excellent answers, and it's nice to see that what you call it, Monty had talk about the Glimmering Valley a little bit. Because of how Numenera's lore is set up, you really can like just inject the whole ass city like whenever you want. Like it doesn't like it's the lore.
you know, I say this about I try to get people to kind of embrace Numenera like this. The way I say it is like this. I look at Numenera like, you know, New York City. If I go to New York City and hang with Anthony, I'm gonna have a different experience than when I go to New York City and hang with my brother, or a different experience if I'm just going there on a tour trip or a business trip. It's still New York. I know it's New York, but you know, Queens is different than Brooklyn, and Brooklyn is different than Manhattan, and Manhattan is different, you know, than Lower Manhattan down in Harlem. All of those aspects, and that's Numenera.
You know what it is? Oh, go ahead, Dean. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying you can play in Numenera, and even though it's somebody else's world, it's still Numenera. You know, because there are those, they do have those things. They have the Aeon Priest, they have the Steadfast, they have, you know, now we got the Glimmering Valley coming, you know, but there's all those little things that you know the Jade, you know, the Jade Colossus, you know those things, and those things are our standards. So, you know.
You know what I think it is? Because I've heard this discussion before many times on the server. You know what I think it is? And I think Monty kind of touched on it with the Glimmering Valley. It's going to be, you know, they will see something like Forgotten Realms, right? And you get a book which Sean wrote. He wrote the 3.5 Forgotten Realms book, right? You get the Forgotten Realms, right? And then you'll see Waterdeep in the Forgotten Realms book, right? There's a separate book for Waterdeep. And I think that's sort of what the person was asking. I mean, I could be wrong. Like they asking, are they going to revisit some of the stuff that are like, say, in the Numenera book? And Monty kind of touched the Glimmering Valley is going to be that place that you could start off, and they're going to give you a ton of information on that you branch off from that. But I'm not 100% positive. I think that's what.
But that's what I mean, though, Anthony. But those, and I mean, the Glimmering Valley can be that, and then there are those other things that you know they have. I mean, we have a book about the Aeon Priest. We have the Trilling. What is it? Remember for the Kickstarter?
Trilling Shard?
That's not the question. I don't think they're asking about additional new places. They're asking about revisiting places that are currently at books. You know, like
okay.
What I mean? I'm not saying that you need it. I'm just saying that.
No, I'm not saying that either. I'm saying that those things already exist. If you look at the Aeon Priest book, you look at the Jade Colossus book, you look at, those books do exactly what they're talking about. But the thing of it is if people aren't using them or injecting them, like Monty's giving us the
No, but all in the same location.
It's what's the name? The Glimmering Valley probably isn't going to be the same location. If we had to see though. We have to wait and see. But at any rate, I get what you're saying though.
Yeah, that's what you're defending is exactly what they're complaining about. they want a book to come out and then to talk about the same exact area of the previous book. I'm not saying that it makes sense to do. I'm just saying that that's what the question is.
But the question is, it's still moot because the thing is the same.
Yeah,
just because it's not in the same place.
But that's like saying, Dean. That's like saying that Arizona is the same as New York City because they're both in the United States. That's not accurate.
No, that's not even nowhere near what I'm saying. But okay, we're gonna get away from that.
Yeah, I was like, y'all are getting hella sidetracked. Oh man! But I said this in the chat.
Discussion.
I said this in the chat because it's hilarious. I said it wouldn't be a CU stream without this. It's totally shut up.
Finally, I gotta shut up Anthony from Dean. My work here is done. Thank you.
Wait, I don't think I ever get told to shut up either. Like, what the hell? What's going on this stream?
I feel like we didn't have a good show. Dean didn't tell me to shut up.
All right, so Dean, what was your final question you wanted to look at?
I literally agree with you, and then shut up.
Oh man! Right, or was there a final one? Yeah.
What was the last question? Somebody asked to bring up the solo play question in chat.
I can bring that one up. Yeah.
That
was a nice
I'm gonna
one.
give my last question, and you.
I'm sorry. No. We'll do it after Dean's.
All right. What was yours?
The last question is: invent a focus for yourself, and that was from Assy Stardust, and it says, "Let's not get bogged down, but also explain the focus signature ability in the rules, accurate language as you can on the spot." So Bruce answered first, and Bruce said, "My business card says I'm an intrepid dreamer who creates worlds by mind alone." So creates worlds by mind alone signature ability might seem to be pretty boss. We could conceive of it as a storytelling focused. But hey, let's say that a 6th tier, you conceive a level 1 recursion, a mini world in Strange, then grow it over time by tending and caring for it.
Yo, that sounds like a super fun character archetype. I'm not gonna lie. That sounds very fun. Someone who makes worlds. But yeah, go on.
Then Monte came in and he said, conjures weird ideas. Let me take the mind's eye of someone else and twist it in a way that hasn't been twisted before. And once again, that's that ill-ass pin game that Anthony talked about.
That kind of gave me a little Hellraiser vibes.
I like it. It's cool.
You get the box, you open it up, and the Monte shows up.
His glasses have spikes on it. But it's still Monte, just with the spike glasses.
We definitely got to get the Hellraiser thing with and put the MCG team as the Cenobites.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yo, we got to do that.
I don't know anything about Hellraiser, but
you never seen Hellraiser?
Yo, bro, I especially don't watch scary movies.
You don't know who Pinhead is?
I know who he is, but I don't know anything about, like you said, have the crew as whatever word you just said. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's the other Hellraisers. That's the other
people. If you say so.
Oh, yo, we got to do that. I know Ken Hub will be able to do it for me.
Yeah,
I don't know if Ken Hub is still on here, but I need the MCG crew as the the Hellraiser.
As the Cenobites.
Yeah, we keep mentioning watch parties, but I've been so lazy about it. But yes, we need to start. We need to actually sit down and start those watch parties.
We definitely got to make that happen. I think that'll be a funny image, a T-shirt.
Yes.
And then, so we'll get like the cube with the Cipher System logo on it.
And just have them all standing around. Yeah. All right. And Shauna, she had my answer got blocked. And then she goes on and says fuck a lot.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Then she
No,
goes, how
she's
about
not.
you're like, how about swings a sword of words and worlds? And then she go, crap, I wrote that and then read the rest of the question. So when I use my weapon, I spread joy and creativity instead of doing damage.
I love Shauna. Shauna's the best.
That's
But
awesome.
what I was thinking about though, if you really think of these now these three foci, because they only these get three get answered, but these three foci are pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the visual of someone like a party buffer using a sword that just like throws magic, like comes straight from the sword.
I can say like I see when I see Shauna, you know, with one of her outfits that she's been posing for us with her leather jacket and her sword across her back, but it's a phantom. Nobody sees it until she draws it. And when she draws it, it glows golden, and she spreads joy.
Yeah, those are all great answers.
Yeah, this was a fantastic, like, fun question. I really like this question too.
I mean,
it was nice to see.
I mean, we solo question, but guys, if you haven't, go to the Cipher Unlimited Discord. I believe there was over 180 something questions that were asked. Just we're gonna keep it up there for a couple of months. We just picked some random ones, but there's a ton of other great questions on there where I can't say it enough. These guys were so gracious and so awesome to sit there and answer pretty much every question that was posted. So yeah, there's way more questions than the ones that we're asking now.
Yeah, it's for a more specific number. James hooked us up. It was about 88 questions. Which is a ton. That's a lot. Yeah. Like, and the fact that they went through and answered like almost all of them is, a testament to how nice they are.
Most of them, everyone agreed upon doing an hour, and I don't think there was one person on the design team that stood an hour. Everyone stood over an hour.
Yeah, and Monte even came early.
Yeah, Monte came in early.
He came early and left like 20 minutes later.
Yeah, what Kenub said is before we dive into the solo question, Kenub, I can't imagine what it was like for all of them. It's like walking into a class of grade schoolers with a tray of cupcakes. Pure madness. Which, people were clamoring to have their questions answered and then talking about the answers as they were happening. It was a wild time on the server for those few hours, 4 hours, or however long we were doing it for.
I've never seen a server that it was like
it was popping, so hyped and excited. It was just fun. It was a fun day all around.
Yeah,
it was.
But yeah, let me go ahead and pull up that one question that was brought up by the audience here. I've already forgotten who asked about it. I think it was Crazy Star Bright. I could be wrong. But yeah, solo play. Question. So I'll go ahead and read that one.
Monty's answer for this was very curious.
Yeah. So our good friend Jacomus on the server, they asked, excuse me, I should also preface this by saying Jacomus is one of our resident solo players. We have like a small collection of them at this point, like people who mainly play solo or play it a lot. And Jacomus is one of them. Are you generally aware of the growing solo or GM emulated play scene? Have you had any thoughts on ways Cipher could offer tools or other pathways to make Cipher even more welcoming to solo play? It works great for solo play as is, by the way, but just throwing this out there. And we got a couple of responses from Sean, from Bruce, and Monte. So Sean starts off, response first. Good question. Charles had a really cool suggestion for the starter set based on a solo adventure section of the Call of Cthulhu starter set, and I think it's an idea worth exploring. And I will, just as a piggyback off Sean's answer, when we were at Gamehole Con, I picked up the Call of Cthulhu starter set, one, because I've been wanting to look at Call of Cthulhu stuff, and
did we lose out?
No, the biggest draw was the fact that it had a solo adventure. They said part of the starter set is a solo adventure to teach you the rules, and I thought that was awesome. That's amazing. Then it moves on to Bruce Cordell, who says, like many of us, I was a fan of choose your own adventure books back in the day, and remain a big fan of the concept, which would be pretty cool to see something like a choose your own adventure book using the cipher rules. I can already imagine it. Like you get to the section where it's like, hey, you have to make a decision, but instead of decision, well, there could be decisions as well. But on top of the decisions, you have your character sheet, and it tells you, hey, you have to roll a acrobatics check. And depending on what you roll on the check, depends on where you go in the book. Like that's an awesome concept. I would love to see that fleshed out. And then Monte Cook chimes in finally and says, I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think there might be ways we could do this. It wouldn't be Cipher, though. Cipher is kind of the antithesis, hopefully I pronounced that word right, of GM-less play. And that's a curious, like Anthony said, that's a curious answer, because a lot of people, myself included, think Cipher System is like well suited for GM-less play. Like because the GM doesn't roll dice, a lot of stuff can be kind of quote unquote automated, if that makes sense. To like that's kind of what GM-less play is. You automate the GM process in a way.
And what's crazy, but I kind of think I agree with Monty that Cipher isn't, because Cipher is such a beautiful social construct. It's really about the story, and it's about that interactive storytelling. It builds on that. Don't get me wrong, not to say that people who are doing solo play and everything else, but I kind of think I understand where he's coming from with the thought process behind that. And also, when I think about it, I've got the chaos engine and stuff like that, and I've had a weird time trying to get into that aspect of it. So maybe
Donald's supposed to, I don't know, Donald supposed to come on and teach us how to play solo play for a while now.
And
yeah, I know. I'm going to take him up on it.
I will say this also.
I know you're in chat, Donald.
Donald did say in chat as well that he and another solo RPG enthusiast will be going over Cipher System and how to solo in it on his YouTube channel or the other person's YouTube. Either way, they're going to go on YouTube and talk about soloing in Cipher System. Yeah, I told him. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I was going to say.
Donald has an awesome YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out, RPG solo guy, I would love for Donald to do a Cipher System video.
Oh, so there's gonna be what's the guy's name? And also, by all means, you can post the channel now. And when the video's actually live, or I forget if you said it was gonna be a live stream, whatever the case, share it on the server when you do it, because that is something a lot of people would love to see.
We'll pin it to the server. We'll make sure we pin it. Get it. We'll
I was
pin
just gonna say, reading the first two responses on this, it was like, yeah. We could do a solo adventure, figure it out. It sounds cool. And for some reason, when I read the Monte response, it was like, oh, yeah, we could do it for Cipher, but I'll just design the perfect solo game, hold my beer. That was the feeling I got. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, yeah, it can be done in Cipher, but I'll just design the perfect solo RPG. Hold my beer for a second.
Yeah, that would be, because,
Anthony. All right, Anthony, I think you just gave Monty his new sneak project like he did. This is going to be our Monty-centric project for the year. He's going to give us a solo RPG.
Yeah.
That's how I read it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah, it worked in Cipher, but why don't we just make the perfect,
solo engine?
Why don't we make an engine directly for it? I got you.
I didn't think about his answer in that.
I'm trying to hold my beer, hold my coffee.
Yeah, exactly. That would be an interesting surprise, sneaky project for them to pull off or pull out. With all, because again, if you're within the community a bit, a lot of people are new, and again, welcome everybody who's new. We have a lot of people who joined even as early as today. Looking at you, Roosevelt Cooper. Thank you for coming along. But what you call it? It's been spoken about quite a bit, solo play. Like it's gaining traction, a lot of it apparently. And yeah, I would love to see an official Monte Cook game solo engine.
You're right, and the fact that we got Kid Hub and Solo RPG Guy both on the server, and they're both kind of into it. It's like,
No, Ken helps out at the solo play.
No, you're thinking of someone else. So I can rattle off a couple, because even in the chat just now, Ken Up is like, I don't know how I feel about solo play.
Who was it? It was solo RPG guy. Who?
There's solo RPG guy. There's Jacomus. There's Power
Jacomus.
Pickle is another big one.
But anyway,
Yeah, there's a few.
You
There's a
ever
few.
read what they're writing in chat, or if you go to the Facebook group, the adventures that they're talking about that they're doing solo sound freaking awesome. Like I want that experience.
well, that's what I'm saying. No, I get it. I'm actually, up for learning it and seeing what I could do. Like I said, I'm waiting for Donald to come on the show so we can, do this thing.
Oh, and another big one, because Charlie.
Oh,
Charlie's
Charlie.
another big one. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
all right, Charlie.
that's another. I do see Charlie talking about it a lot as well. Yes, like I said, there's like a small. Like we need. I know we've mentioned this in prep. We need to start the solo play channel. We need to start that, like, because it gets talked about so much.
And not for nothing, we have had internal discussions about a solo play Cipher System channel for like the last month and a half. We just
Haven't pulled the trigger yet, but yeah, it's becoming
coming.
like, yeah, it's we're gonna open a channel just specifically so people can gather and talk about how they handle Cypher solo, which I think is a long time coming, because right now all the solo play is like spread apart on different channels where they happens to come up. You know what I mean?
I just have one thing to say. Roosevelt Cooper, he says solo is fantastic. It's the only way you get to play at 2 a.m. Well, I know a few people over in Australia that will be happy with you, because that's the perfect time of day that they want to play. So you might want to throw it out there. Hit some of our guys overseas across the international date line and hook it up.
Yeah, very much so. But I think we've hit the nail on the head on our favorite questions. We touched on the solo play question from the audience. And for everyone who wants to see more of the questions, because again, there's a ton of questions, a ton of great answers from the designers, be sure to head on over to the Discord if you're not already there. Look at the AMA channel. It's going to be up for a while. We haven't set a date or when we're going to archive it or whatever, put it away, but it will be up for quite a bit so people can like read back and take that inspiration.
It'll be a minimum 3 months. We'll keep it up for sure.
Yeah, for sure. At least I will agree with that sentiment. We might even try to find a way to make it like, I don't want to say permanent, but find a way to like have access to it all the time, because there are some gems in here that like.
Oh, we can definitely just archive it and pull it up whenever we want.
Well, it's definitely going to be, it's not going to get deleted for sure. But either way, it's going to be around for quite a bit for you to look at. And if you haven't already, join the Discord, go take a look. It's still available for viewing. And if for whatever reason the MCG crew decides they want to, like, they're bored and they want to, like, pontificate, they can still actually post there. Not that I think anyone's gonna do that, but just throwing it out there that MCG can still post there. We cannot. No one else can post there anymore. No more questions. But if they feel like extrapolating or expanding on one of their answers, it would be crazy to see a surprise answer out of nowhere. But just throwing it out there that they can still post if they so choose to.
Imagine Monte comes back 2 months from now, and the black cube one. You know how you just put yes? He just comes back and puts psych. I was just bullshitting.
Only you, Anthony.
With that, Anthony, I think you could take us to our ending spiel.
If you like us,
No.
okay, I'm sorry, dude. Oh yeah, you're right. There's two things we gotta talk about. Go ahead, dude.
One thing I just wanted to bring up real quick. Adventures in the Cipher System backer kit is going on right now. We're currently at 464,992, 6 stretch goals unlocked. The bang for the buck on this one is awesome. The stretch goals are awesome. 525,000, we get 2 more adventures added to the already adventure book that's being designed. And I just want to say, everybody, if you haven't backed this campaign, back it. The pledge levels are varied and phenomenal, all of them. Just check it out.
I already posted the link. And I will say this also, just to piggyback a little bit, if you're now, and again, because of this influx of new people, this is an awesome backer kit if you're just now getting into Cipher System and don't own too many of the books. It's an awesome way to get a lot of the white cover books they've printed, or I think all of them. I need to look more specifically.
There's
You get,
all of them.
They actually have a pledge level where you can get all of them.
and those books, if you don't own them and you're new to this, to this space, they are phenomenal toolkits for their genres. It's just off the wall advice in all of them. And yeah, and I really also wanna give them a shout out, Monte Cook Games, for listening to the feedback from us, from the community as a whole, not just us at Cipher Unlimited, but I guess everyone who was speaking about it. They saw that we were saying, wow, if you own a lot of Cipher System stuff, this backer kit really is like, I'm just getting a lot of stuff I already own. They saw that, they heard it, and they're, again, we already saw part of that with the Adventures of Cipher System adventure book that's going to have Predation Adventure, and it's going to have Other Strange Adventure, and like, that's amazing. And hopefully these stretch goals will continue to see new things for people, along with the bestiary, like new things that we don't own yet, which is awesome that they're, they heard us and they're going to include stuff.
And to piggyback on that, right? One, the bestiaries in there, which we've been screaming for like 2 years, and it backed immediately. So there's going to be a Cipher System bestiary. But more importantly, is they went and listened to our Discord and saw what people were saying and said, hey, they're right. They went and heard people talking about what books they want to see more Strange, they want to see more Predation. And they went and gave us what we wanted. There's only so much you could ask from a company, and I think the one thing you could ask is that they listen to their fans. And there's no denying that Monte Cook Games listens to their fans.
Big facts.
And yeah, so if you're, like I said, if you got the opportunity, get the PDFs, just jump right in, because even if that's all you can do and if you're like a PDF person, trust me, this is a great value. But then, Monte Cook is known for doing humble bundles across, at least once a year. There's a nice one with a bunch of all the other goodies in it. So, yep, take advantage, everybody. And, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Anthony to take us home.
Speaking of listening to their fans, you guys do know we have a giveaway next week. It's going to be live 10 p.m., same day, Thursday. We have Tammy Ryan of Monte Cook Games co-hosting the event with us. And listening to their fans, when I was approaching different companies for donations, of course I had to hit MCG up, right? And I said, hey, I want some stuff, can you give me some stuff to donate? They gave me a crap load of stuff. They got some really cool stuff. And not only did they give me a crap load of stuff, you know what Charles said afterwards? It's like he backed up the truck and said, yo, is that enough? So trust me when I tell you that they went above and beyond donating stuff, and the stuff that they're giving out is hella cool. So please don't miss it. If you haven't entered the raffle, unfortunately, you have to join the Cipher Unlimited Discord channel. But once you do, just go there and enter, and everyone's allowed to enter. We're gonna not only Monte Cook Games, we have a ton of cool stuff from a bunch of other different companies. So please join us. Is Saturday be the last day you can enter, right, Al?
I'm closing entries. I believe I said the day before the stream. So it would be your last day to enter would be Wednesday night. Right. I forget the exact specific time I put down, but Wednesday sometime I will close the entries so we can begin the process of setting up the actual giveaway part. So there's no last minute, happenings that could mess us, because if you're a watcher, you do know that shenanigans will rear their head if we give them the opportunity. So we're closing a little bit early to give us more of a leeway in dealing with any potential issues.
Yep. So yeah, you got to be in it to win. It's like the lotto. So join the Cipher Unlimited Discord, and hopefully you'll win some cool prizes. If you like us and you like what we do, join the Cipher Unlimited Discord to win some cool prizes. It's the largest fan-run Discord server for all things Monte Cook Games. We have close to 5,000 members now. But if Discord's not for you, join our Facebook group. It's not as big as our Discord, even though it's getting close now. I don't know if you guys saw the Facebook group, but that number's growing, right? There's many great conversations being had there as well. If you want to, our videos are always free, but if you want to help us out some way financially, give us a little donation on Ko-fi. Helps us out with little things like Zoom course, and I actually got it right for the first time in like 4 weeks. Or you can visit our online store and pick up some cool Cipher Unlimited merch like the shirt D got on and the hat I got on. Like, share, and subscribe on our YouTube channel. It's we've had a lot of growth there, and we really appreciate it. We want to keep it growing as far as fast as we possibly can. Any love there, we'll greatly appreciate. Or give us a subscription or follow us here on Twitch. We really appreciate everyone, all the new love we've been getting lately. And we just want to make content for you guys. And last but not least, I can't stress this enough. We love you guys.
Yeah, so again, thank you everyone for stopping by. Thank you everyone who participated in the AMA. It was a fantastic event, and we hope to do another. Even it seems like Monte was pushing us to do a more business-oriented one, so maybe that'll be next on the docket. We'll see. But yeah, that time will come when it comes, and we wouldn't be afforded these opportunities if you guys, the community, weren't so awesome. So keep being awesome. Thank you again so much, and from us at the CU, we will see you later.